Well, guys, the Minnesota Timberwolves snatched home court the very first game of this series, 104-102. They got a welcome surprise. Ant-Man played. He came off the bench, but he played 25 minutes, 18 big points, 2 or 3 from the three-point line. Played tremendous in that fourth quarter.
So Shannon Sharpe just delivered a masterclass breakdown of Minnesota's stunning Game 1 upset over San Antonio, exposing exactly how Chris Finch neutralized Wembanyama and why this series is far from over. We're diving deep into the tactical chess match that shocked the basketball world.
Because I don't think anybody had Minnesota to win this game. I don't think no one thought this was going to be a sweep, but I don't think many people had Minnesota to go in and win the first game. How were they able to do it, Joe?
Absolutely right. Vegas had San Antonio favored by 6.5 points at home. ESPN's Basketball Power Index gave Minnesota just a 28% chance to win. This wasn't just an upset, it was a complete dismantling of expectations against the team that swept their first round.
These Timberwolves ain't gonna be no pushover, man. It ain't gonna be as easy as everybody think. They got some dogs too. They got some guys who can compete, some guys who can move them puppies, play some defense. And then what you want to do with Wemby, Ocho, Twan, you want to be physical with him, bro.
They were.
You want to be physical. Yep, he had a triple-double with blocks. So what? You know what I mean? I think as the game kind of continued to go on, he was, kind of starting to wear down a little bit. But both teams was exhausted, bro. Timberwolves was exhausted at the end, but they did what they wanted to do.
That physical approach was textbook playoff basketball. Wembanyama's 12 blocks look impressive, but he shot just 5 of 17 overall, and those 0 for 8 threes tell the real story. Minnesota made him work for every touch and forced him into perimeter shots where he's less effective.
When you go into a playoff series, bro, your first mindset is, okay, we got 2 games on they home turf. We at least want to get 1.
Classic road warrior mentality. Teams that steal Game 1 on the road historically win series 67% of the time. Minnesota just flipped this entire series dynamic. Now San Antonio faces immediate must-win pressure at home instead of controlling their own destiny.
I love the way they did it with Anthony Edwards, bringing him off the bench. So that forces you now to play him only 25, 30 minutes. You knew he couldn't play a full game. I think that was the check mark #1 thing right there, bringing him off the bench and playing him in spurts. It allowed the other guys to get into the floor of the game where they're not dependent on Ant. And I think that's what really started it. But you got to give Minnesota credit, man. They was able to play their small line. Able to play their small lineup. I think people don't realize when you look at this game again, they played small in the fourth quarter. They didn't have to play Rudy.
Brilliant coaching by Chris Finch. Edwards off the bench created unpredictable rotations and kept San Antonio guessing. Plus, it allowed Minnesota's role players to establish rhythm early without relying on their injured star. That's championship-level game management right there.
So, as great as Wemby was defensively, he's going to have to figure it out offensively because you can't allow them to play small because the advantage goes to Minnesota if they're able to keep Naz Reid at the 5. Because now the mismatches start to happen on the offensive end for Minnesota. So
exactly the key tactical shift. When Minnesota went small with Naz Reid at center, they forced Wembanyama to choose between protecting the rim or guarding the perimeter. That indecision opened driving lanes and created the spacing Minnesota needed to execute their offense.
I believe this series might end up going the distance. The second half, this is what Chris Finch did to Wemby. Held him to 5 points, 2 of 8 field goals, 0 for 3 from the three-point line, 1 or 2 from the free throw line. He was 0 for 8 from the three-point line.
Those second half numbers are devastating for a player of Wembanyama's caliber. 0 for 8 from 3 is uncharacteristic. He shot 32% during the regular season. Finch clearly identified that as the weakness to exploit and executed perfectly.
I didn't think this was going to be a 4-0. I thought it would be an extended series because I didn't anticipate Wemby to play. Not Wemby, Ant-Man to play until they got back home, guys. That's when I thought Ant-Man would come in. But he's progressed so far, so fast that they say, you know what? He's able to give us something. And whatever he's able to give us is more than what we would have been able to get if he was not on the court. So that 18 points that he gave you in great efficiency, 8 of 13, 2 of 3 from the 3. Now, he wasn't attacking like he normally was because, but that knee still probably a little sore. But he said, you know what? I still can get my shot. Get fouled. But I thought Chris Finch and the game plan that he had was unbelievable, especially in the second half.
That 8 of 13 shooting efficiency was crucial. Edwards didn't need to be Superman. He just needed to be steady and create opportunities for others. His court vision and decision-making looked completely unaffected by the knee injury, which is terrifying for San Antonio.
The goddamn Wolves were resilient, huh? They was resilient. They gave Wemby hell. Okay, defensively, he had a shitload of goddamn blocks. That still don't change the fact what they was able to do. They kept the game close. Listen, the game was back and forth. It could have went really either way. If you watched the entire game, they was scoring back to back. The game was close the entire time. And Ant coming off the bench, being able to do what he did, even though he wasn't effective as he normally is, coming off the bench, giving them boys, some minutes, not only minutes, but some effective points as well.
That mental fortitude is what separates contenders from pretenders. Playing in San Antonio's building with that crowd energy, most road teams fold under pressure. Minnesota never flinched. They traded baskets all night and executed in crunch time like seasoned veterans.
Is that when you really look at it and you look at these two teams, they really don't have an answer for Jude Randle. They had Stephon Castle trying to guard Jude Randle in the fourth quarter. You can't do it. I mean, I take my hat off to him because he stepped up to the challenge. He ended up fouling out, but that's a load. You see guys 6'8", 6'9", 240, 250 can't deal with him down there on the blocks. And you got your starting point guard trying to deal with their power forward because you don't really because they like to play small.
Randle posted up Stephon Castle like he was in a high school drill. San Antonio lacks the personnel to handle his physicality down low. When teams can exploit mismatches that blatantly in the playoffs, it usually means a short series for the disadvantaged team.
And let me add this, guys. You got to think about this. The Minnesota team has been together for some years now. They've been in the wars. This is the first trip for San Antonio. You got to think Minnesota's not going to get rattled. They core 7, 8 guys besides Terrence Shannon have been in these wars and played these tough games. So they got an advantage that way. Nobody's talking about that. Everybody's thinking because the Spurs had a great season that this is going to be an easy series. No, Minnesota feel confident. This group has been together. Don't look at the seeds. Don't look at being because they're the 6th seed and all that. No, this group that Minnesota got has been together for this probably 3rd or 4th year with this crew. When you think about it. So they really kind of got the advantage when you think about it.
That playoff experience factor is massive. This Minnesota core survived 7-game wars with Denver, faced elimination multiple times, and learned how to win ugly games. San Antonio's youth and inexperience showed in those crucial final possessions where veterans make the difference.
It's hard for us to tell, but if he gets anywhere to 20, 25 a night, they got a chance to get this thing over in 5, man. I like Minnesota.
If Edwards maintains that efficiency at 20-plus points per game, this series is essentially over. San Antonio's defensive scheme relied on limiting his explosiveness, but even at 75% health, he's creating enough offense to unlock Minnesota's supporting cast.
Get back what Twan say. I agree with Twan wholeheartedly, especially early when he said, when Minnesota goes small, San Antonio got a problem. They got to figure it out because it takes Wemby away from the basket when you got Naz Reid at the 5. You feel me? So if he ain't going to guard Naz Reid and he going to play help defense, Naz got to hit him upside his head every time. You feel what I'm saying? So I like the T-Wolves. I don't know if they can win this series, but damn it, they off to a damn good start. And I got faith in them, bro. I got faith in them. Hey, listen, y'all seen them boys out there competing at the highest level.
They were. They did.
Outside of Wemby, I think Rudy Gobert played some solid defense, gave him some great effective minutes. But outside of Wemby, bro, when he go out the game, man,
that small ball dilemma is unsolvable for San Antonio. Reed can stretch the floor and force Wembanyama away from the basket, but if Wembanyama doesn't guard him, Reed becomes a mismatch nightmare against whoever draws that assignment. It's chess versus checkers right now.
Yes. They got no, because they don't fear. At least think about it. He had 12 blocks, but he had about another 5 or 6 alterations where you like, I ain't going in there. I know what's in there. There's problems up in there. But you know who I think? And look, Jude Randle played unbelievable. He was 5 offensive rebounds. He had double digit. He had a double-double. But I think what goes unnoticed is Mike Conley, because every time they needed a shot to quell the run down, Mike Conley hit a 3. And remember, Wemby blocked the shot. And the Blues ball was all over the floor. They kick it to Mike Conley in the corner, and he knocks down a 3.
blackout. Yeah.
That, you know what I'm saying? Because
Conley's veteran savvy was the difference. Those timely threes after Wembanyama blocks killed San Antonio's momentum every time. When you're that clinical in hostile environments, it shows this team has been battle tested at the highest level for years.
Look, when Wemby blocks a shot, it's almost like Steph shooting a three. That's the equivalent of the crowd erupts.
Yeah.
And so now the crowd is going crazy. We just shut them down. We go, hey, somehow Minnesota comes up with the ball. They kick the Conley in the corner, and on left-handed, wop, right upside the head, and the kind of like, and you know, hey, we've all been there, Joe and Twy. You know, you scrambling, and all of a sudden you're like, damn, man.
Yeah. But you got to admit, but Mike Conley played so good tonight.
Those momentum swings are psychological warfare in the playoffs. Wembanyama creates this defensive highlight, the crowd explodes, and then Conley immediately answers with a dagger three. That type of response breaks young team spirits and changes series trajectories completely.
I think when you think about it, do you play Ant-Man in game 2 though, or do you let him continue? Do you let him get a little rest?
I would play him. I just think you have to watch his minutes again. I think you put him on a minute count because if you get a chance to steal game 2, now it's a really, really different series now going back home. So you still want to take a shot at it, but I wouldn't play him extended minutes. You stole you one. Now you can be a little cautious. We got to see how he feel tonight, Joe. You know how this thing is. They got to see how he feel tonight. See how he feel in the morning. Yeah. If he walking around limping a lot and can't put no pressure on that leg, then maybe you may think about it. But right now, I'm going for the kill.
The strategic calculus is clear. If Edwards can give them even 60% of his normal production, Minnesota becomes nearly impossible to beat. They've already proven they can win without him at full strength, so any additional contribution puts tremendous pressure on San Antonio.
Hey, I think the thing is, Joe, also, is that he hadn't did any running. So his cardio, he really ain't in the shape that he really needs to be able to play those extended minutes. So I'll watch out for that. But I'm going to be surprised if game 3 or 4, he's not in the starting lineup. I'm going to be shocked if they continue to bring. Now, I think one more game. I think the game, what is that? That'll be Wednesday. I think he comes off the bench again. I think when they go home, I'm not going to be surprised if he's in the starting lineup.
That conditioning factor will become crucial as the series progresses. Edwards hasn't had proper game conditioning for weeks, but his basketball IQ and shooting touch remain sharp. By games 3 and 4, he could be approaching full strength physically.
I like how Ant-Man pours confidence into his teammates, bro.
Yes.
You know, you see it, especially the young guy, Terrence Shannon. Obviously, always Drew Randall, McDaniels, but the Terrence Shannon kid, I like his aggressiveness, fellas. I don't know about y'all. I know his first two possessions were blocked by Wemby. The second one was a damn goaltender, and they missed it. But I like the aggressiveness that he plays with. I like the confidence that they pour with him down the stretch, meaning handling the rock, making decisions. Bro, they got a nice squad, man. They built for this. They built for this San Antonio team.
They built for this run, man. I'm telling you, this team has been together 3-4 years, man. I'm telling you, they built for this.
Edwards' leadership transcends statistics. You saw how confidently Terrence Shannon attacked Wembanyama early, despite getting blocked twice. That fearlessness comes from having a superstar who empowers teammates to take risks and make plays without fear of consequences.
I think all them wars with the Denver Nuggets has made them ready for this type of moment. San Antonio not going to beat them with trying to get shooting threes, and Wemby's going to have to mix it up a little bit. He's going to have to post up a little bit. I know that's not his game. I know he's more of a perimeter type guy, but he's going to have to mix it up. He's not going to be able to.
Who is it?
One, because you allow them not to play Rudy. If he's going to stay at the 3-point line, you don't have to play Rudy as much. Now you play into Minnesota's hands with Naz Reid, who can shoot the 3 and make plays off the dribble. Yeah. So they're going to have to make a decision, man.
Those Denver battles were Minnesota's postgraduate education in playoff basketball. They learned how to grind out victories against elite competition. San Antonio's regular season success means nothing compared to Minnesota's hard-earned experience in elimination games and hostile environments.
He's going to have to, because Wemby, you can't play 40 minutes and only attempt 2 free throws.
Oh, no.
Ain't no way that can happen. Facts. Because now you play right into their hands, like you said. We're going to stay small because the advantages that you have is that when Rudy's on the court, because Wemby can pull him away from the basket. Well, if Wemby's going to stay out there and let him shoot threes, he was 0 for 8 tonight.
Wow.
I think that's an anomaly. I don't think he'll go over again from the three-point line, but he's going to have to be.
2 free throw attempts for a 7-footer in a playoff game is almost unheard of. That stat reveals everything about how Minnesota's physicality and spacing affected his aggression. He's settling for perimeter shots instead of imposing his will in the paint.
This their first rodeo too, y'all. We got to realize too. This their first rodeo. Just their first time at this group. Where they the high seed, everybody expects them to win. So they know some nerves tonight, and they got beat by a veteran team who've been there before.
Yeah. Hey, you got to give. We got to give Minnesota a lot of credit though.
Exactly right about the experience gap. San Antonio's young core looked overwhelmed in crucial moments, hesitant on offense, reaching on defense, making mental mistakes veterans avoid. Minnesota's composure in tight games comes from years of high-stakes basketball at this level.
And you think about Minnesota, they on the road and they only turned the ball over 9 times. Jew had 5 of those. So that's the key. That's a recipe for winning games, is taking care of the basketball when you're on the road. You understand you're in a hostile environment. You know this is a team of young athletic guys that want to get out. What's the best way to keep them from getting out? Not turn the ball over. Make them take the ball out the net.
9 turnovers on the road in a playoff game is championship level ball security. Compare that to San Antonio's 14 turnovers at home. That's the difference between a veteran team that knows how to win and a young team still learning playoff basketball.
I would think strongly about that because a healthy Anthony Edwards, I don't think San Antonio can win this series anyway. So you got to figure out if how Ant feels. If Ant feels good, then you can play him in short spurts. But if not, sit him out. You got your one game. You win that Stowe, and now you got a chance to get him some rest and get an extra couple days. That'll be huge for them.
Minnesota now holds all the leverage in this series. They've already accomplished their primary objective, and anything else is bonus. That psychological advantage is enormous. They can play loose while San Antonio faces mounting pressure with each passing game.
3. They're not. He shoots too many of them.
Or 5 or 17.
Yeah, they're not gonna win like that. He has to either shoot less threes and focus on getting to the basket, being around the basket, or he's gonna have to make sure he go 4 for 8. 3 for 7. He's gonna have to make some of them. You can't go 0 for 8 from the 3 because you bailing Minnesota out. You giving them, you know what I'm saying? So he's gonna have to figure out what he want to do.
But if you look at Minnesota, when teams have
those 0 for 8 threes from Wemby were exactly what Minnesota's defense wanted. They forced him into low percentage shots while staying disciplined on rotations. When your opponent's best player is settling for contested threes, your game plan is working perfectly.
This is probably the wrong team for them to be playing because they got size. They got a guy who can close the game out in Anthony Edwards. They got veteran players, so they got active wings that can defend. So this probably is not the best matchup for the Spurs. This is probably one that they probably wish they could have avoided. But this is going to be a tough series for San Antonio to get out of. I like Minnesota in this series.
This matchup exposes every weakness San Antonio has: lack of playoff experience, limited depth, and no answer for Minnesota's versatility. The Timberwolves have the personnel, coaching, and mental toughness to control this series from here. The upset was just the beginning.